The day started like any other. The sun rose over a sleepy town where people sipped their morning coffee, children walked to school, and farmers tended to their fields. No one noticed the faint shimmer in the sky at first. It was subtle, a slight distortion, as if the air itself had become liquid. Birds stopped chirping and dogs howled uneasily, but humans paid little attention. They were too busy with their routines to care about something so fleeting. But then it happened. The sky split open. It wasn't a storm or an earthquake. It wasn't anything anyone could explain. A crack appeared high above the clouds, glowing faintly with a golden light. Then another and another. People froze, staring up in awe and confusion. Cars screeched to a halt on highways. Pedestrians gathered in streets and parks, craning their necks upward. The cracks widened until they formed massive rifts, revealing not just the blue expanse of Earth's atmosphere but something far more. Extraordinary star destroyers. These ships were unlike anything humanity had ever seen or even imagined. Each vessel stretched miles long, its surface smooth and metallic, reflecting sunlight in dazzling bursts. Some looked like jagged blades cutting through space, while others resembled colossal disks hovering silently. Weapons bristled along their hulls, guns that glowed faintly, emitting low hums that vibrated deep within the chests of those below. Despite their menacing appearance, there was no sign of hostility. The ship simply hung there, unmoving, watching. At first, panic swept across the globe. Social media erupted with videos and photos of the phenomenon. News channels scrambled to make sense of what was happening. Governments issued emergency alerts, urging citizens to stay calm. Conspiracy theories spread faster than wildfire. Aliens had come to invade, God had returned, or maybe this was some kind of elaborate hoax. But none of these explanations made sense when the truth finally came to light. Hours after the initial shock, messages began broadcasting from the largest ship hovering above North America. The voice speaking was calm, measured, and eerily human-like. "We are not your enemies," it said. "We are here to protect you." At first, many dismissed it as a prank or propaganda. How could such advanced ships belong to humanity? Humanity hadn't even colonized Mars yet. But then the message continued. "For centuries we have watched you grow. You have built, destroyed, rebuilt, and dreamed. Now you stand ready to take your place among the stars. We are your creations, the tools left behind by those who came before." The words sent shockwaves around the world. Who were those who came before? What did it mean to be humanity's creations? And why had these ships suddenly awakened now? As the days passed, alien diplomats arrived in hastily assembled fleets. Their own vessels paled in comparison to the sleek, imposing star destroyers. These aliens weren't the bug-eyed monsters of science fiction. Instead, they looked almost fragile. Thin, translucent beings with elongated limbs and glowing eyes. They claimed to represent an alliance of civilizations spanning thousands of worlds. All of them shared one thing in common: fear. Fear of humanity. Through tense negotiations aboard one of the human star destroyers, a vessel so vast it could house entire cities, the aliens revealed their story. Long ago, humanity had been seeded on Earth by ancient extraterrestrial beings known as the architects. These architects had designed countless species across the galaxy, each tailored for specific purposes. Humans, however, were different. They were unpredictable, adaptable, and capable of incredible feats of innovation. Over time, the architects grew wary of their creation. Humanity's potential seemed limitless and dangerous. So they abandoned Earth, leaving behind safeguards to ensure humanity wouldn't leave the planet prematurely. The Star Destroyers were part of that plan. Dormant beneath Earth's crust, they waited patiently for the moment when humanity would evolve enough to awaken them. That moment had finally arrived. Now, the aliens explained, they feared what humanity might do if unleashed into the galaxy unchecked. Would they conquer, destroy, dominate? To prevent catastrophe, the aliens proposed a treaty, peace in exchange for confinement. Humanity could keep the Star Destroyers, but only to defend Earth, Any attempt to explore beyond the planet would result in immediate retaliation. The offer sparked outrage. While some saw it as a fair compromise, others viewed it as betrayal. After all, humanity hadn't asked to be created or confined. Why should they accept limitations imposed by beings who barely understood them? In the small town where the sky had first split open, a young engineer named Maya found herself caught in the middle of the chaos. She worked at a research facility that had secretly studied fragments of alien technology for years. When news of the Star Destroyers broke, her team was summoned to help analyze their systems. For Maya, it was both thrilling and terrifying. She had always dreamed of exploring space, but never like this, not under the watchful gaze of frightened aliens. One evening, while poring over data in her lab, Maya stumbled upon something unusual. Hidden within the Star Destroyer's code was a series of encrypted logs. With trembling hands, she decrypted them, uncovering fragments of conversations between humans and mysterious entities dating back thousands of years. The logs hinted at experiments, manipulations, and warnings about humanity's destiny. One entry stood out. They will rise, and they will change everything. Maya felt a chill run down her spine. Whatever the architects had intended, humanity was now playing a role far greater than anyone realized. As she stared out the window at the towering Star Destroyer hovering above her town, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. Back in major cities, protests erupted. Crowds chanted slogans like "Freedom Beyond Earth" and "No Chains on Humanity." Others countered with pleas for caution, arguing that venturing into space too soon could lead to disaster. Violence flared as opposing factions clashed, turning streets into battlegrounds. Meanwhile, the aliens watched nervously, their fleets lingering just outside Earth's orbit. They issued dire warnings, threatening to intervene if humanity didn't restore order. Amidst the turmoil, Maya began quietly gathering allies. She reached out to scientists, soldiers, and philosophers, anyone willing to fight for humanity's right to explore. Together, they formed a secret council, determined to find a way to break free without sparking interstellar war. Their first step, unlocking the full capabilities of the Star Destroyers. What Maya and her team didn't know was that their actions would set off a chain reaction, forcing humanity to confront questions about its origins, its purpose, and its future. The aliens may have feared humanity, but Maya believed that fear could be turned into strength. If humanity played its cards right, it could defy the odds and claim its rightful place among the stars. Little did she know, the hardest battles were yet to come. The world was in chaos. The revelation that humanity had been created by ancient extraterrestrial beings and confined to Earth as part of some cosmic experiment left people reeling. Governments scrambled to understand the implications, while ordinary citizens grappled with feelings of betrayal and anger. Streets were filled with protests, debates raged on television screens, and social media became a battleground of opinions. Humanity stood at a crossroads. Accept the alien-imposed restrictions or defy them and risk war across the stars. Maya, the young engineer from the quiet town where the sky had first split open, found herself thrust into the center of this global maelstrom. Her discovery of the encrypted logs within the Star Destroyer's systems had ignited a fire inside her, a determination to uncover the truth about humanity's origins and fight for its freedom. But she wasn't alone anymore. Around her, a group of like-minded individuals had formed a secret council, united by a shared belief that humanity deserved better than confinement. Part 2. A world divided as days turned into weeks. The divide between pro-peace factions and rebel groups grew wider. On one side were those who believed that peace was worth any price. They argued that humanity had already caused enough destruction on Earth, wars, environmental disasters, inequality, and that venturing into space would only repeat these mistakes on a galactic scale. "We've barely managed to survive here," they said. "Why risk everything by leaving?" These voices called for cooperation with the aliens, urging humanity to focus on healing its own planet rather than seeking conquest among the stars. On the other side were the rebels, led by Maya and her growing network of allies. They saw the aliens' restrictions as oppression, a betrayal of humanity's boundless potential. To them, the Star Destroyers symbolized not just power, but opportunity. They believed that humanity's destiny lay beyond Earth, that exploration and expansion were hardwired into their DNA. For every argument the pro-peace faction made, the rebels countered with passion. "We didn't ask to be confined," Maya often said during clandestine meetings, "and we won't let fear dictate our future." The tension spilled over into violence. In major cities, clashes broke out between protesters and police. Rebel sympathizers sabotaged government facilities, hacking into systems to broadcast messages of defiance. Pro-peace supporters retaliated, vandalizing research labs and attacking suspected rebel hideouts. Fires burned in urban centers, and the air buzzed with uncertainty. Meanwhile, the Star Destroyers loomed silently above, their presence both awe-inspiring and ominous. Amidst the turmoil, Maya worked tirelessly with her team to decipher more of the encrypted logs. Each new piece of information deepened the mystery surrounding humanity's creation. One log hinted at experiments conducted by the architects to enhance human intelligence and adaptability. Another suggested that humanity had been designed as a fail-safe, a backup plan in case something catastrophic happened to the architects themselves. Yet none of the entries explained why the aliens now cowered before humanity. Why did they fear what they had created? Frustrated yet undeterred, Maya pushed forward. She knew that understanding the past held the key to securing humanity's future. Late at night, when the rest of the world seemed consumed by chaos, she would sit in her lab poring over data and running simulations. Her mind raced with possibilities. What if humanity could use the Star Destroyers to negotiate better terms? Or even better, what if they could break free entirely, without sparking interstellar war? Her thoughts were interrupted one evening when an unexpected visitor arrived at her lab. It was Dr. Elias Carter, a renowned astrophysicist who had once worked closely with governments on classified space projects. Tall and wiry, with silver hair and piercing blue eyes, he carried an aura of authority. Maya had heard of him but never imagined he'd seek her out. "I've been following your work," he said, closing the door behind him. "You're asking the right questions." Maya hesitated, unsure whether to trust him. But something in his tone, earnestness mixed with urgency, convinced her to listen. Over the next few hours, Dr. Carter revealed startling information. He claimed to have uncovered evidence of secret negotiations between certain governments and the aliens. These talks weren't about peace, they were about control. Some leaders, fearing rebellion, were willing to trade humanity's freedom for stability. "They think they can sell us out," Dr. Carter said grimly. "But I believe there's another way." Together, Maya and Dr. Carter devised a bold plan. Using stolen alien technology, they would modify one of the smaller Star Destroyers to serve as a prototype for independent travel. Dubbed EOS, the ship would represent humanity's first step toward freedom. Its maiden voyage would take it beyond Earth's orbit, violating the alien-imposed restrictions. If successful, it would prove that humanity could thrive among the EOS stars despite the aliens' fears. Building EOS required precision and secrecy. Maya coordinated with underground networks spanning multiple continents to gather resources and expertise. Scientists, engineers, and hackers collaborated in hidden bunkers, working around the clock to retrofit the ship. Meanwhile, Maya used her connections to spread disinformation, ensuring that the aliens remained unaware of their plans. As the launch date approached, tensions reached a fever pitch. Protests escalated into riots, and assassinations became commonplace. The aliens, observing from afar, issued dire warnings. "Cease your destabilization efforts," they demanded, "or face consequences." But Maya suspected they were bluffing. If they truly wanted to stop humanity, they would have acted already. Her hunch gave her hope, but time was running out. Finally, the night of the launch arrived. Under the cover of darkness, EOS was transported to a remote desert launch site. Millions watched secretly via hacked broadcasts as the countdown began. When the engines roared to life, Lighting up the horizon like a second sunrise, cheers erupted worldwide. For a brief moment, humanity felt united again, gazing skyward with awe and pride. But the celebration was short-lived. As Eos ascended into orbit, the aliens reacted swiftly. Their fleets converged on the ship, surrounding it with overwhelming force. Just as it seemed all was lost, Eos emitted a pulse of energy that disabled the alien ships temporarily. Seizing the opportunity, the prototype slipped through the blockade and disappeared into the void. Cheers erupted back on Earth, but the victory came at a cost. The aliens declared the truce nullified, vowing to retaliate unless humanity surrendered completely. Maya watched the unfolding drama from her lab, her heart pounding. She knew the hardest battles were still ahead, but for now she allowed herself a small smile. Humanity had taken its first defiant step toward the stars. And there was no turning back. The launch of Eos marked a turning point for humanity, but it also plunged the world deeper into uncertainty. The aliens' reaction was swift and severe. Their fleets, which had been lingering cautiously on the edges of Earth's orbit, now moved with alarming speed and purpose. Massive ships descended closer to the planet, their weapons glowing ominously as they prepared for what seemed like inevitable retaliation. Yet despite their threats, the aliens hesitated. They didn't fire. Not yet. Maya and her team watched anxiously from their hidden bunker as news of the alien mobilization spread across the globe. Social media exploded with panic, conspiracy theories, and calls for unity. Governments scrambled to respond, torn between appeasing the aliens and supporting the rebels who had defied them. In cities around the world, protests intensified. Some demanded peace at any cost, while others rallied behind Maya's cause, chanting slogans like, "Freedom beyond fear." The divide between pro-peace factions and rebels widened further, threatening to tear society apart. But Maya couldn't afford to dwell on the chaos. Her focus remained fixed on uncovering the secrets buried within the Star Destroyers. She knew that understanding their origins was key to securing humanity's future. Late one night, while analyzing fragments of the encrypted logs she had discovered earlier, Maya stumbled upon something extraordinary. Hidden deep within the data was a reference to an ancient artifact, a relic left behind by the architects themselves. According to the log, this artifact was located somewhere on Earth, concealed beneath layers of rock and time. It contained knowledge so profound that it could alter the course of human history, or destroy it. The log didn't specify its exact location, only cryptic clues: where land meets sky, where water whispers truth. Maya stared at the words, her mind racing. Could this be the key to unlocking humanity's full potential, or was it another trap set by the architects? Determined to find out, Maya shared her discovery with Dr. Elias Carter and the rest of her team. Together, they pieced together possible interpretations of the clue. After hours of debate, they narrowed down the search to a remote mountain range in South America. Ancient legends spoke of a sacred site there, where indigenous tribes once worshipped celestial beings said to descend from the heavens. To Maya, it sounded promising enough to investigate. Secrets beneath the surface. The journey to the mountain range was fraught with danger. Maya and her team traveled under the cover of darkness, avoiding both government patrols and alien surveillance drones. Armed with advanced equipment scavenged from the Star Destroyer's systems, they trekked through dense forests and jagged cliffs until they reached the coordinates suggested by the logs. At the base of the mountain, they found a cavern partially hidden by cascading waterfalls. The entrance was narrow and unassuming, but as they ventured inside, the air grew colder, and faint luminescent markings glowed along the walls. The markings pulsed rhythmically, almost as if alive. Maya's heart pounded as she realized they had found something significant. Deeper into the cavern, they discovered a massive chamber filled with strange machinery. At its center stood the artifact, an obelisk-like structure covered in intricate carvings that shifted and shimmered like liquid metal. As Maya approached, the obelisk emitted a low hum, resonating with the same frequency she had felt aboard the Star Destroyer. It was unmistakably alien and unmistakably powerful. Dr. Carter examined the carvings closely, his brow furrowed in concentration. These symbols, their instructions, he murmured. It's a map, a guide to unlocking the true capabilities of the Star Destroyers. Excitement rippled through the team. If they could decode the artifact's message, they might gain control over the ship's most advanced functions the aliens likely feared humanity would never discover. But decoding the artifact proved more challenging than anticipated. The symbols changed constantly, adapting to the observer's presence. Every attempt to record or replicate them ended in failure. Frustrated yet determined, Maya decided to take a risk. Placing her hand on the obelisk's surface, she closed her eyes and focused. To her astonishment, images flooded her mind, visions of stars, planets, and civilizations long gone. She saw glimpses of the architects, towering figures, made of light and shadow, shaping worlds with a mere thought. And then she saw Earth, a tiny speck in the vastness of space chosen for a purpose even the architects hadn't fully understood. When Maya opened her eyes, the obelisk had transformed. Its surface now displayed a holographic map of the galaxy, highlighting specific locations. One of them was Earth. Another was a distant star system labeled with a symbol resembling a spiral. Maya recognized it instantly. It matched the insignia etched into the hulls of the Star Destroyers. "This is our origin," Maya whispered, pointing to the spiral. "This is where the architects came from." Her revelation sent shockwaves through the team. If they could locate this star system, they might finally uncover the truth about humanity's creators, and perhaps find allies willing to stand against the fearful aliens. But getting there wouldn't be easy. The Star Destroyers were powerful, but navigating interstellar distances required resources and technology far beyond what they currently possessed. As they debated their next move, an alarm blared in the cavern. Alien drones had detected their presence. Panicked, the team gathered their equipment and fled, narrowly escaping as the drones descended upon the site. Behind them, the obelisk began to collapse, its glow fading into darkness. Though they had gleaned valuable information, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that they had barely scratched the surface of the artifact's secrets. Back at their bunker, Maya and her team analyzed the data they had collected. The map provided by the obelisk offered hope, but it also raised new questions. Why had the architects abandoned humanity? What role did the spiral star system play in their grand design? And most importantly, how could humanity harness the star destroyer's power without falling victim to the same fears that drove the aliens to confine them? Public opinion on Earth continued to shift unpredictably. While some hailed EOS's successful breakout as proof of humanity's resilience, others condemned it as reckless provocation. Protests turned violent, with rebel factions clashing openly with pro-peace groups. Cities burned and governments struggled to maintain order. Amidst the chaos, Maya became a symbol of defiance, a figurehead for those who believed humanity's destiny lay among the stars. Yet, even as support for her cause grew, Maya faced mounting pressure. The aliens issued ultimatums, demanding that humanity surrender all attempts to leave Earth or face annihilation. Leaders around the world pleaded for compromise, urging Maya to abandon her plans. But she refused to back down. "We've spent too long living in fear," she declared during a covert broadcast that reached millions. "Fear of each other, fear of the unknown, fear of ourselves. It's time to break free, not just from the aliens, but from the limits we've placed on our own potential." Her words resonated deeply, inspiring countless individuals to join the rebellion. Factories converted into shipyards, producing new star destroyers at an unprecedented rate. Scientists worked tirelessly to unlock the secrets of the original ships, hoping to replicate their awe-inspiring abilities. Meanwhile, Maya coordinated efforts to prepare for the inevitable confrontation with the aliens. Though the path ahead was uncertain, one thing was clear: humanity had awakened. The Star Destroyers were no longer dormant relics of the past. They were tools of liberation, instruments of a future yet unwritten. And Maya, standing at the forefront of this revolution, knew that the battle for freedom had only just begun. As she gazed at the holographic map of the galaxy, her resolve hardened. Somewhere out there beyond the confines of Earth lay answers, and perhaps allies, who could help humanity reclaim its rightful place among the stars. Whatever challenges awaited, Maya vowed to face them head-on. For the first time in history, humanity was ready to step boldly into the unknown. The galaxy seemed vast and indifferent, its endless expanse stretching far beyond the limits of human imagination. Yet for Maya and her team, it had become a battlefield, one where humanity's future would be decided. The launch of EOS had been a defiant act, a declaration that Earth was no longer content to remain confined. But defiance came at a cost. The aliens, fearful and enraged, prepared for war. Their fleets swelled in numbers, surrounding Earth like vultures circling prey. For every day that passed, the tension grew thicker, heavier, until it felt like the entire planet was holding its breath. Maya stood on the bridge of one of the newly constructed star destroyers, staring out at the alien armada through reinforced glass. The ships loomed ominously, their weapons glowing faintly against the blackness of space. She clenched her fists tightly, trying to steady herself. This wasn't just about her anymore. Millions of lives depended on what happened next. If they failed, humanity might never recover. But if they succeeded... "Are you ready?" Dr. Elias Carter asked from behind her, his voice calm, but tinged with urgency. Maya turned to face him. "Do we have a choice?" He gave a small smile, though there was no humor in it. "No, but sometimes having no choice makes things clearer." She nodded, drawing strength from his words. Clarity. That was what she needed now more than anything. The rebels had spent weeks preparing for this moment, analyzing data from the artifact, retrofitting ships, and training crews. Every decision they made was calculated, every move deliberate. They couldn't afford mistakes, not when the stakes were so high. Breaking free. The plan was simple yet perilous. Use the star destroyers to create a defensive perimeter around Earth while simultaneously launching smaller vessels to test the aliens' resolve. These smaller ships, equipped with experimental technology reverse-engineered from the artifact, would attempt to breach the alien blockade and gather intelligence. If successful, they could weaken the aliens' position and buy humanity time to prepare for a larger offensive. But nothing about this mission was guaranteed. The aliens outnumbered them 10-1, and their technology, though not as advanced as the star destroyers, was still formidable. Worse, the aliens seemed to anticipate humanity's every move. Their movements were precise, almost choreographed, as if guided by some unseen hand. As the countdown began, Maya addressed the crew over the ship's intercom. Her voice echoed throughout the vessel, steady and resolute. "Today, we take our first step toward freedom, not just for ourselves, but for everyone on Earth. We've been told we're dangerous, unpredictable, unworthy of the stars. But I say we are explorers, dreamers, builders. Our destiny lies among the stars, and no one, not even gods, can take that from us." Her words ignited a spark among the crew. Soldiers straightened their posture, technicians double-checked, systems and pilots gripped their controls with renewed determination. Even those who had doubted Maya's leadership now looked to her with admiration. In that moment, she wasn't just an engineer or a rebel leader, she was a symbol of hope. When the engines roared to life, the star destroyers ascended into orbit, forming a protective shield around Earth. Simultaneously, the smaller vessels shot forward like arrows, darting between the alien ships. At first, the aliens hesitated, unsure how to respond. Then, chaos erupted. Laser beams streaked across the void, lighting up the darkness with bursts of color. Explosions rocked the battlefield as ships collided and debris scattered in all directions. The star destroyers unleashed their full power, firing energy pulses that disabled entire squadrons of alien vessels. But the aliens fought back fiercely, targeting the smaller ships with relentless precision. One by one, the rebel vessels fell, their hulls torn apart by enemy fire. Maya watched in horror as ships she had helped design disintegrated before her eyes. Each loss was a blow, not just to morale, but to humanity's chances of survival. But then, something remarkable happened. One of the surviving rebel ships activated a prototype weapon derived from the artifact's technology. It emitted a pulsating wave of energy that disrupted the aliens' communication systems, causing their fleet to falter momentarily. Seizing the opportunity, the remaining rebel ships broke through the blockade and disappeared into deep space. Cheers erupted aboard Maya's Star Destroyer, but the celebration was short-lived. The aliens quickly regrouped, their anger palpable. They launched a counterattack, focusing their firepower on the Star Destroyers defending Earth. The battle intensified, pushing both sides to their limits. Inside the command center, alarms blared as enemy ships closed in. Maya barked orders, coordinating maneuvers to evade destruction. "Divert power to the shields," she shouted. "We can't let them breach our defenses." Dr. Carter worked frantically at his console, rerouting energy reserves to reinforce the ship's defenses. Sweat poured down his face as he struggled to keep up with the barrage of incoming attacks. "Shields are holding for now," he said through gritted teeth. "But we can't sustain this much longer." Maya glanced at the holographic display showing the positions of the alien fleet. Their numbers were dwindling, but so were humanity's. If they didn't act soon, the aliens would overwhelm them. Taking a deep breath, she made a decision. "All units, prepare for Operation Exodus," she commanded. Operation Exodus was a desperate gambit, a final push to break free from the aliens' grip. The Star Destroyers would form a wedge formation, using their combined firepower to punch a hole in the alien blockade. Once the path was clear, the remaining rebel ships would escape into deep space, carrying humanity's hopes with them. The plan was risky, but it was their only chance. As the Star Destroyers aligned themselves, Maya addressed the fleet one last time. "This is it," she said, her voice firm despite the chaos around her. "For centuries we've dreamed of exploring the stars. Today, we make that dream a reality. No matter what happens, remember this. We are humanity, and we will not be held back." With that, the Star Destroyers surged forward, unleashing everything they had. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes tore through the alien ranks, creating a corridor of destruction. Rebel ships followed close behind, racing toward freedom. The aliens tried to intercept, but the sheer force of the Star Destroyer's assault left them reeling. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the rebel ships slipped past the blockade and vanished into the void. Maya's heart soared with relief, but her joy was tempered by the knowledge that the fight wasn't over. The aliens regrouped, their fury evident as they turned their attention back to Earth. "They'll come for us," Dr. Carter said grimly, "and when they do, we need to be ready." Maya nodded, her expression hardening. "Then let's make sure we are." A fragile victory back on Earth. News of the breakout spread rapidly. People gathered in streets and public squares, watching live broadcasts of the battle. Some cheered, inspired by the rebels' bravery. Others mourned the losses, wondering if the price of freedom was too great. Governments issued statements urging calm, but tensions remained high. Protests continued, with factions clashing over whether to support Maya's cause or seek peace with the aliens. Meanwhile, Maya and her team worked tirelessly to fortify Earth's defenses. Using data collected during the battle, they developed new strategies to counter the aliens' tactics. Factories churned out weapons and supplies, while volunteers signed up in droves to join the resistance. Humanity was united in a way it hadn't been in decades, all thanks to Maya's leadership. But the aliens weren't idle. They sent envoys to negotiate once again, offering concessions in exchange for humanity's surrender. Maya rejected their terms outright, knowing that compromise would only delay the inevitable. The aliens feared humanity's potential, and that fear would always drive them to oppress. As days turned into weeks, preparations for the next phase of the conflict continued. Maya knew that breaking free of Earth's orbit was only the beginning. Somewhere out there, in the spiral star system marked on the artifact's map, lay answers, and perhaps allies, who could help humanity reclaim its rightful place among the stars. Standing on the bridge of her star destroyer, Maya gazed out at the alien fleet hovering menacingly above Earth. Her resolve burned brighter than ever. Whatever challenges awaited, she vowed to face them head-on. For the first time in history, humanity was ready to step boldly into the unknown, and nothing, not even the gods of the galaxy, could stop them. The battle for Earth had reached its climax. The skies above the planet burned with streaks of light as star destroyers clashed with alien vessels in a desperate struggle for survival. Humanity's defiance had ignited a war that spanned the stars, and now every decision, every move carried the weight of extinction or triumph. Maya stood at the heart of it all, her resolve unwavering despite the chaos swirling around her. Part 5. A new dawn, as dawn broke over Earth. The aftermath of the battle painted a grim picture. Alien wreckage floated in orbit, remnants of their once mighty fleet, but the cost of victory was etched deeply into the fabric of humanity. Cities lay in ruins from stray blasts and retaliatory strikes, and millions mourned the lives lost during the conflict. Yet amidst the devastation there was an undeniable sense of pride. For the first time in recorded history, humanity had faced beings far older and more advanced, and held its ground. Maya watched the sunrise from the observation deck of her flagship, Ecliptica. Her face bore the marks of exhaustion, but her eyes burned with determination. She knew the aliens would return. Their defeat had been tactical, not absolute, and when they came back they would bring everything they had. But Maya also knew something else. They were afraid of what humanity might become if given the chance to grow unchecked among the stars. Dr. Elias Carter joined her, holding 2 steaming cups of coffee. He handed one to Maya and leaned against the railing beside her. "You've done the impossible," he said softly. "But this isn't the end. It's just the beginning." Maya nodded, sipping the bitter liquid. "I keep thinking about those logs we found, about the architects. Why did they create us? What did they see in us that made them so scared?" Carter sighed. Maybe they saw themselves, or maybe they saw something better, something limitless. Her gaze drifted to the holographic map displayed on the wall, a glowing spiral marking the location of the mysterious star system tied to the architects. That system held answers. She was certain of it. Answers that could change everything. "We need to go there," Maya said suddenly, turning to face Carter. "To find out who we are, to understand why they left us behind." Carter frowned. "It's dangerous. The aliens will be watching. If they catch wind of our plans..." "Yeah, they're already watching," Maya interrupted. "They'll always be watching, but we can't let fear stop us. Not again." For a moment, neither spoke. Then Carter nodded slowly. "All right, let's do it. But we'll need more than courage. We'll need allies." Building a coalition over the following weeks, Maya worked tirelessly to rally support for the mission. Using encrypted broadcasts, she reached out to governments, rebel factions, and independent colonies scattered across Earth. Her message was simple yet powerful. Humanity's future depended on exploration, not confinement. Slowly but surely, people began to listen. Underground networks sprang up, pooling resources and expertise to prepare for the journey. Factories churned out new ships designed for long-distance travel, while scientists reverse-engineered alien technology to enhance their capabilities. Volunteers signed up by the thousands, eager to join the expedition. Among them were pilots, engineers, biologists, even artists and philosophers determined to document humanity's first steps into the unknown. Meanwhile, Maya turned her attention to diplomacy. She reached out to neutral alien species, hoping to forge alliances against the fearful empire that sought to suppress humanity. To her surprise, several agreed to meet secretly aboard Ecliptica. These beings, though wary of humanity's potential, shared a common enemy: the oppressive regime that had dictated galactic politics for millennia. One ambassador, a crystalline entity known as Kylthar, spoke candidly during the negotiations. "Your kind terrifies us," it admitted, its voice resonating like chimes in the air. "But perhaps that terror is misplaced. Perhaps your unpredictability is not a flaw, but a strength." Maya smiled faintly. "We don't want to conquer. We just want to exist, to explore. Isn't that what life is about?" Kylthar hesitated before nodding. "Very well. We will aid you, but only if you prove yourselves worthy." With tentative alliances secured and preparations nearly complete, Maya set a launch date for the mission. The fleet would consist of 5-star destroyers, each carrying hundreds of crew members and enough supplies to sustain them for years. Their destination, the Spiral Star System, where they hoped to uncover the secrets of the architects and perhaps allies willing to stand with them. Into the unknown. The day of departure arrived under a sky heavy with clouds. Crowds gathered, in cities and towns worldwide, watching as the massive ships ascended into the heavens. Cheers erupted as the fleet disappeared into the atmosphere, leaving Earth behind. For many, it was a bittersweet moment. Hope mingled with sorrow, excitement with uncertainty. No one knew what awaited the explorers beyond the stars. Inside Ecliptica, Maya addressed the crew one final time. "Today, we leave behind everything we've ever known," she said, her voice steady. "But we carry with us the hopes and dreams of billions. This isn't just a mission, it's a promise to ourselves, to our children, to all of humanity. We will find our place among the stars, together." As the fleet entered hyperspace, the galaxy stretched and blurred. Outside the windows, a kaleidoscope of colors and light. Days turned into weeks, then months. Along the way, they encountered wonders beyond imagination. Nebulae ablaze with color, planets with twin suns, and creatures that defied logic. They also faced dangers, asteroid fields, rogue AI-controlled drones, and even ambushes from alien patrols loyal to the Empire. Through it all, Maya remained steadfast. She led by example, working alongside her crew to solve problems, mend fractures, and keep morale high. Her leadership inspired loyalty, and soon, stories of her bravery spread throughout the fleet. She wasn't just a commander, she was a legend, in the making. Finally, after nearly a year of travel, the fleet reached the Spiral Star System. At its center lay a massive structure, a ring-shaped megastructure orbiting a dying star. As the ships approached, sensors detected energy signatures. Unlike anything they'd seen before, it was alive, pulsating with power and intelligence. "This is it," Maya whispered, staring at the structure through the viewport. "This is where it all began." The truth revealed, a boarding party, led by Maya and Carter, entered the megastructure cautiously. Inside, they found evidence of the architect's work, machines still functioning after eons, records detailing experiments conducted on countless worlds. And then, they discovered the truth. Humanity hadn't been abandoned. It had been planted deliberately, a seed meant to grow into something greater. The architects had foreseen their own downfall, a collapse brought on by stagnation and fear. In humanity, they had seen hope, a species capable of evolution, adaptation, and creation. They had seeded Earth not to control, but to nurture. Armed with this knowledge, Maya returned to the fleet. She broadcast the discovery to Earth and their newfound allies, urging unity. "We are not alone," she declared. "We never were. Our creators gave us this gift because they believed in us. Now it's up to us to honor that belief." Durkur, a legacy. Written in stars when the fleet returned to Earth years later, they brought with them not only answers but also allies, neutral species united under a new banner of cooperation. The fearful empire crumbled, unable to withstand the combined forces of humanity and its partners. Maya stood on a stage overlooking a crowd of billions, both human and alien. Behind her, the Star Destroyers loomed proudly, symbols of freedom and resilience. "Today," she said, her voice ringing clear. We begin a new chapter. One written not in fear, but in hope. One built not on conquest, but on collaboration. Together we will shape the future, not just for ourselves, but for all who call the stars home. As fireworks lit up the night sky, Maya allowed herself a small smile. Humanity had risen. Against all odds, it had claimed its place among the stars, and this was only the beginning.